A good man lives peacefully, but his past doesn't leave him. Secrets about him come to light, scandalous ones he kept hidden from everyone around him, even his wife. The story begins with Kong, who works as a driver for a daycare and lives in an apartment with his wife, Mission, who works as a detective. One morning, Kong wakes up to find the apartment in a complete mess. He begins his usual routine, tidying the clothes, preparing breakfast, a real role model for men at home. Then Kong goes to wake Mission up for breakfast, making sure to squeeze in laundry duties. Kong starts rummaging through Mission's wallet, and just before taking money, Mission's phone rings, waking her up. She answers the call, and once it's over, she catches Kong red-handed and asks him where he's planning to go. Poor Kong, what an embarrassing moment. Kong tries to smooth things over, saying he was saving the money for a trip together. Mission reminds him that the last trip they took together was sitting in front of the TV, watching shows. She then allows him to take some of the money, but insists on leaving the rest behind. Later, we learn from Mission that Kong is the only case she regrets in her career because she can't arrest him or rid herself of him. On another note, Kong is portrayed as the perfect husband, always taking care of Mission, reminding her of everything she needs. Mission consoles herself, thinking there are worse men than Kong, better a flawed husband than none at all. Kong arrives at work, and his kind-hearted nature shines when Dong, a child whose mother is late, is the only one left on the bus with Kong and the daycare teacher. The child asks Kong to take him for a ride in the bus, as usual, and Kong agrees, driving them professionally. Dong is thrilled, and shortly after, his mother arrives to take him. Meanwhile, Mission is on her new mission, taking down a gang involved in drug trafficking. Equipped with her electric shocking device, she enters the gang's lair with her team, showing no mercy and fighting everyone in sight. Her combat skills leave her team in awe and questioning their abilities, saying, "Isn't it embarrassing that the woman among us does all this?" Eventually, Mission reaches the gang leader. He and his crew are casually eating, relaxing in the middle of all the chaos. Mission's sharp intellect comes into play when she discovers a secret note written in invisible ink that only appears with heat. Pretending to have a headache, she requests a cup of coffee. Using the heat from the coffee, Mission reveals the hidden message on the note and hands it to her assistant, asking him to pour hot water over it to decode the information. Mission cleverly deals with the gang leader, while her assistant discovers the vital clue they were searching for. Once assured that her team has achieved their goal, Mission resumes taking down the remaining gang members with relentless force. Meanwhile, Siwon, another character, is introduced. She's walking cautiously on the street, glancing around to ensure no one sees her. She hides a flash drive in a box, but starts sensing suspicious movements around her. She runs away, but is chased by several men, cornered with nowhere to escape. She fights back, but is eventually shot and falls off a building onto a car. However, she survives. Let's find out how Mission arrives at the scene of Siwon's incident, where her team informs her of what happened. They discover that Siwon was wearing a bulletproof suit, which saved her life, though she sustained injuries and a concussion that caused her to lose consciousness. Mission suspects that Siwon was fleeing from people who wanted her dead, and they might try again if they learn she's still alive. To protect Siwon, Mission instructs her assistant to mislead the media into believing that Siwon didn't survive. Kong, meanwhile, is in a parallel world, standing at a food cart, enjoying a meal with no worries on his mind. But his past confronts him once again when he spots a woman named Geo running from some men. Kong freezes in shock upon seeing her. When Geo tries to escape, she gets cornered. Just as the gang leader is about to speak, Kong appears and eliminates all the attackers. Helping Geo gather her belongings, Kong notices an ultrasound scan in her bag with the name San on it. Kong and Geo sit together, catching up. Kong mentions it's been a long time since they last saw each other and asks if she's still in the same job. Geo replies that she left it long ago. When he inquires about Jong, she says he disappeared and she doesn't know his whereabouts. Geo asks Kong to forget their encounter and walks away. During these moments, Mission's assistants are observing Kong and see him meeting Geo. They start suspecting Kong and wonder aloud whether he has an old romance with Geo. They report back, to their leader at work, dramatically reenacting the scene with exaggerated acting and making up dialogue between Kong and Geo. Mission overhears her assistants and asks if they saw Kong. They confidently affirm that it was he, and they stir up trouble for him. Although Mission is initially skeptical, she decides to verify the truth herself. When Mission gets home, she finds that Kong has cooked her a meal and even prepared food for her assistants, storing it in the fridge. Poor Kong seems like a kind-hearted soul. She goes to check on him and finds him sleeping peacefully. Out of curiosity, Mission looks in Kang's wallet not to take anything, but to find it empty. Out of generosity, she slips money into it. What a considerate move from Mission. Meanwhile, Kong is troubled and unable to sleep, haunted by seeing Geo again after all these years. We see him sorting through his items, passports, IDs, and photos of different people. He reflects on the events from 6 years ago that still linger in his mind. A flashback takes us 6 years earlier in Russia to an intelligence agency. Kong was a highly significant officer back then, working alongside Geo and San. On one mission, they had to stop a ship loaded with weapons from entering South Korea. Kong successfully disabled the ship's operations using a unique password only. He knew, however, the mission took a tragic turn when their assistant, Jiam, was captured. When Kong tried to rescue Jiam, he too was caught and beaten. Faced with threats of Jiam being tortured, Kong gave up the password, prioritizing his friends' safety. Unfortunately, the captors betrayed Kong and killed Jiam in front of him. The tragedy left Kong tormented by guilt. Jiam's voice calling for him continued to echo in his ears. Moreover, San informed Kong that he needed to leave the agency because he had decided to take the ship, which led to Jiam's death. Kong took Jiam's belongings, intending to burn them, but kept a photo of Jiam with his wife and son. It is revealed that Jiam's son is Dong, whom Kong has since dedicated himself to taking care of, hoping to atone for his mistake. Truly, Kang's sense of responsibility is unparalleled. Back in the present, Mission's assistants continue their relentless surveillance of Kong, capturing photos of him meeting Geo. Kong helps Geo in her search for her missing husband, San. Meanwhile, Mission discovers that all of Siwon's colleagues, who could have shared insights about her, have unfortunately died one by one recently. Mission's friend at work receives the photos of Kong with Geo and shows them to her. Mission is shocked and begins to doubt Kong, suspecting everything he does. She resolves to catch him red-handed. Kong, on the other hand, accompanies Geo to what she calls her only safe place after her previous location was compromised. She opens a hidden space underground, and they settle there. Geo receives an envelope containing communication details, and she connects with someone who claims to know Son's whereabouts. Kong encourages Geo to agree to meet this person. Kong borrows Mission's car, under the pretense of needing it for a fishing trip to clear his mind. Mission, who wants to catch him in the act with Geo, agrees and secretly follows him with her assistant and colleague. They see Kong loading fishing gear into the car and later entering a hotel with Geo to book a room. At that moment, Mission is convinced of Kang's infidelity and loses control. She considers storming into the room, but is stopped by her colleague, who advises her to get the full story from Kong first. His calm reasoning prevails. Mission decides to monitor Kong and Geo from a rooftop across the hotel. Her colleague sets up a tiny surveillance drone equipped with a camera, allowing her to observe discreetly. However, when her colleague humorously suggests a romantic conversation happening between Kong and Geo, Mission loses her temper and smashes his beloved drone. That's one way to release frustration. Just then, Mission receives a call informing her about a surveillance camera discovered at Siwon's last known location. Before leaving, she sets a beta car belonging to her colleague, rigged with a hidden camera. Meanwhile, Geo receives an awaited message from the contact, giving her the room number for their meeting. She goes there with Kong, where the contact provides information about Son's whereabouts. The contact explains that San was investigating a fake contract between Russia and South Korea, orchestrated by a mysterious figure known only as General Park, someone one has ever seen or identified. The story takes a turn as Kong notices a symbol that triggers a memory. He recalls seeing the same symbol 6 years ago, while tied up and beaten during his mission to save Jian. Kong realizes that General Park is the criminal mastermind they've been chasing, responsible for countless crimes. The contact further reveals that San left the police after losing his dear friend Jian, a tragedy that deeply affected him. Kong forms a new team to track down General Park. However, one by one, the team members die, and the last one is Siwon. Before her death, Siwon gives a flash drive containing Son's location to the contact. Meanwhile, Mission reaches her office and reviews surveillance footage. She sees San, who was the last person there, retrieving the flash drive Siwon left for him before disappearing. Mission realizes that San is Siwon's superior and the mastermind behind their missions. Mission Sir focus to the bait she planted earlier, aiming to gather clues about her husband's infidelity. At the bait site, Mission collects fingerprints to identify those involved and instructs her assistant, Hun, to provide her with a cloned phone. This phone will allow her to monitor messages and calls. One night, while they sleep, Mission tries to unlock Kang's phone, which requires facial recognition. Resourcefully, she uses adhesive tape to open his eyes, as if he's awake. Successfully unlocking the phone, she transfers all his phone data onto her device. When Kong wakes and catches her holding his phone, Mission pretends to be sleepwalking, and Kong, concerned, guides her back to bed. Poor Kong, he has no idea. Distracted at work, Mission continues to track Kang's movements. She notices him heading toward a mountain, puzzled by his destination. On the other side, Kong and Gio are at the mountain, which holds Son's location. They arrive with the coordinates from the flash drive and begin to map the site, strategizing how to infiltrate. Inside the facility, San endures horrific torture as spies demand the location of the flash drive, which contains sensitive information about the country. Despite the brutal treatment, San refuses to talk. When Mission returns home, she notices a lack of Kang's usual attention to household chores and wash dishes. Suspicious, she leaves him a note saying she'd be working late. Kong later reads it upon returning home. Mission grows fearful, doubting Kang's love for her. News arrives that Siwon has regained consciousness. Mission visits Siwon and questions her about General Park. Siwon admits that no one knows Park's identity, but shares the symbol associated with the general and sketches it for Mission. At this point, it's revealed that Kong and Mission are unknowingly pursuing the same person. As Kong and Gio head to Son's location, Gio asks if Mission knows about Kang's past. Kong remains silent, leading Gio to assume he hasn't told her. Using a fake identity, Kong infiltrates the gang's hideout. Guided by Gio through an earpiece, Kong channels his old skills, pulling off tricks to navigate the facility. Disguised as a security guard, he reaches San, witnessing his friend's torment. Thankfully, Kong rescues San and takes him to a doctor, prearranged by Gio, to begin Son's recovery. Mission reviews another surveillance video, capturing the moment San was taken. She orders the footage to be zoomed in, revealing the shocking truth about General Park's identity. Brace yourself, General. Park is a woman, and it's none other than Gio. Yes, that Gio. Mission realizes she had seen her with Kong before. Meanwhile, Gio, or General Park, reassures her associates, briefing them on the latest updates. We learn why Gio involved Kong in her plans. She knew his former role as a police officer and his current civilian life. Gio's reappearance in Kang's life was a calculated move. She orchestrated events to make Kong emotionally invested in finding San, even assisting him in rescuing San from her men. This manipulation ensures Kong earns Son's trust, ultimately leading San to reveal the flash drive's location. Gio's strategies are undeniably brilliant. At the doctor's clinic, a hidden camera records San and Kang's conversation, revealing that the flash drive is at Son's house. Kong gives San a phone to contact him if needed. Meanwhile, Gio orders her men to ransack Son's house in search of the flash drive. Her right-hand man turns out to be the same person who previously pretended to be Son's friend. As Gio's team heads to Son's house, they encounter Mission. She had also gone there to investigate the case. Mission's combat skills shine as she retrieves the flash drive before them. While a gunfight ensues, Mission calmly transfers the drive's data to her phone and boldly destroys the flash drive in front of them. The gang becomes furious at Mission for destroying the flash drive. One of them strikes her, causing her to lose consciousness, and they take her to Geo to decide her fate. Meanwhile, the doctor speaks to San, triggering memories of the torture he endured, leading San to realize the doctor is also part of the gang. San attempts to eliminate the doctor and calls Kong, suspecting Kang's motives for rescuing him. San fears Kong might be trying to extract the flash drive's location to betray him. However, Kang's intentions are genuine. He's trying to save San from the gang. Kong explains that his involvement was to help Geo locate San, nothing more. Hearing Geo's name shocks San, who reveals that Geo left the police after Kang's departure and disappeared without a trace. Before Kong can respond, gunshots ring out as the doctor kills San. Simultaneously, Geo's men attempt to eliminate Kong, believing his mission is complete, and he knows the flash drive's location. Kong is taken to the hospital, while Mission is held captive by General Park Geo. Mission is seated in Jong's place, and the gang begins torturing her. Geo contacts Kong via video call, threatening to kill him if Mission doesn't reveal where she transferred the flash drive's data. Initially, Mission refuses to cooperate, but she eventually gives in, fearing for Kang's life. Predictably, Geo breaks her promise and orders her men to kill Kong. However, Kong regains consciousness and defeats his guards. Geo instructs her men to deal with Mission, but before they can act, Kong bursts in with a car, shooting everyone. Mission is stunned by Kang's transformation, realizing he's not the man she thought she knew. Kong rescues Mission, and together they escape, relying on their combined strength to fend off their pursuers. Mission confronts Kong about keeping such a significant secret, asking why he didn't tell her who he truly is. Kong admits he feared she would leave him or misunderstand him. Mission reassures him, saying, "If everyone misunderstands you, I should be the one to understand you and stand by your side." She encourages him to continue their mission to rid the world of Geo's evil. Detective Sang finally assists Mission properly. When Mission contacts him to identify those at Jong's house, he discreetly provides information without alerting others. Mission and Kong arrive at the house, armed with whatever they can find. Kong, ever protective, suggests going alone to keep Mission safe, but she refuses, insisting they stick together until the mission is complete. At the hideout, Kong and Mission unleash their skills, defeating everyone in their path. Geo, meanwhile, eagerly awaits the final seconds of her data transfer to secure her money. Kong disrupts her plans by cutting off the power, forcing Geo to restart the transfer. Leaving Geo in shock, Kong and Mission continue their assault on the remaining gang members. Geo's men, realizing the situation is dire, urge her to leave, promising to protect her. They treat her like a deity, ensuring her safety above all else. As Geo escapes, she sees her men defeated and scattered. Shocked by the scene, a grenade is thrown, rendering everyone unconscious, including Geo. The masked men carry her out to safety. Geo, furious, curses Kong, only to discover he's the one driving her getaway car. Mission defends Kong, scolding Geo for insulting her husband. However, Mission's clumsy assistant crashed into their car, prompting Kong to reprimand him. Amid the chaos, Geo attempts to escape, but Mission stops her. Kong and Mission take down the remaining gang members, but Mission notices Kong has been severely injured and is unconscious. She abandons Geo to help Kong, allowing Geo to flee in a car. After dealing with Geo's assistant, Kong and Mission chase Geo and capture her. Geo offers Mission a share of the money, but Mission refuses, taking the entire bag instead. Geo is left empty-handed as Kong and Mission walk away, holding hands, proud of their accomplishments. For Mission, the most important thing is being with Kong. She realizes he's the best decision she's ever made and truly loves him. In her eyes, Kong is the best man in the world. The movie ends with the couple united after all the chaos and challenges they faced. If you've made it this far, don't forget to drop a heart emoji in the comments to show you reached the end. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more exciting content. Goodbye.